Let the record reflect. It's November 19th, 2018. We're starting the meeting a little 10 after 4. Pardon?
4:09.
4:09, and we'll start with a roll call.
Ms. Kohler? Here. Mr. Schulman?
Here.
Mr. Stelzer?
Here.
Mr. Homan?
Here. We have approval of the motion summary for the meeting held July 25th, which I assume was enclosed, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion approved.
We have a second?
I'll second.
We have any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. We move down to the substance of the meeting, which is the review of the proposed changes to the current schedules of retention and disposition for the police department. And who is handling this? Mr. Schulman.
I'll take it. Fellow Records Commission members, as you probably remember from prior meetings, oh, there it is. As you I didn't notice that. As you probably remember from prior meetings, the police has a pretty active record retention process, and they routinely review their schedules and amend them. What we have here has been given to me from Susan Durbin and Don Clark from the police department. The first is new schedules that they are proposing. Those are basically records that they believe they keep that we don't have a schedule for right now. And if you don't have a schedule and it doesn't fit into something else, that would default to a permanent schedule. So it is better to have a schedule attached to them. The second group of items is revisions. You can see those are more stylistic. I just want to point out DPD 060, which we're proposing to strike. It's not because we don't keep that anymore, but because it's indicated to me that we have another schedule that actually was duplicative, so there's no point in having both of them there. I'd be happy to answer any questions such that I can. Obviously, I'm more of an editor than a records manager on these records, but I'll do my best.
The disciplinary internal investigation log, what is that?
What I think that is when they are doing an internal investigation, they assign it to a particular person to do, and they keep track of who it was for and who did it. But it's just like a log. It's not the actual discipline itself, but allows
it's not.
I think it's just the log of what the investigation and discipline was, but it's not the actual document like we would issue a discipline.
Okay.
Because that goes in their personnel file and has its own schedule.
Okay.
Being that, is 3 years long enough to keep that, do you think?
I'm not sure why they put that period on there.
Is that less or more, or is it just a new document that they didn't have scheduled?
It's a new document that they don't have scheduled. The discipline right now has different periods for different kinds of discipline per their contract, and it's hard to say what the specific time frame is because it also stacks. So if you have intervening discipline, it kind of tacks onto that, and then it goes again another year, 2 years, or 3 years. So I think this is more of an assignment of who did the discipline investigation, a discipline log, but the discipline itself still would maintain its current schedule.
Right, but and I think what you were talking about was more the progressive discipline issue. But setting that aside, let's say that the discipline complied with any progressive discipline, but the person was at some significant discipline levels, and something else came up. And whether it's external, which people we got to think about, want to see what was involved in that investigation,
right,
3.5 years ago, and we would now say we destroyed all that. And I'm just saying, what's the likelihood? Is 3? You might think keep it forever. No, but usually those things that they do come up, it's because of a subsequent thing that came up,
right?
And it's not so much the progressive discipline issue internally; it's more the
something external is interesting.
If we were looking at it from the newspaper or the people's right to know, is that too short of a time?
Well, I don't have enough information to answer that. I think we could do one of two things. I could either talk back to the police. We could not vote on this one. And I could ask them their thoughts.
Why don't we just pull that one for now, Darren, and vote on the document without the second item there.
Yeah, and we've been much better. We've been much better about meeting regularly, so we can have that ironed out by our next meeting.
And I doubt it's that critical of an issue for them.
And we'll be meeting again within hopefully 6 months.
Yeah,
so anything that was going to happen will still be there. So,
man, I would say, and again, you don't know, but if we were to, and they'll have their input, but again, theirs will be from an internal standpoint, if we were looking at it from the citizenry standpoint, people's right to know, there's a lot of issues out there about internal investigations in police departments, whether they should even be conducting them. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but Columbus has got a whole
Panel.
that they're even creating, and I wonder at what point in time, if 3 seems like a pretty short period of time.
Well, maybe that's something we can talk to the chief about it, look at what, maybe lengthening it and just finding out what.
And I think it would be helpful because the fact that there are questions, it's good feedback for me. I'm going to get more of a description. So whenever it's not completely self-explanatory, I like to put a little, this is what this is, and so I can get that, and that might provide some clarity as what's in there as well. So I think it's appropriate to not vote on that one today, and any others you're not comfortable with.
On the employee clothing and equipment records, it says kept an employee file. Is it their employee file over there or the one here? Because if it's the one here, they scan that, so there wouldn't necessarily be a paper copy anymore.
That's a good question, Michelle.
But I know that they keep some files over there.
They do have some
Type
files they
file
keep
over there. So I
over
didn't know
there.
which file it was in.
I would suggest we follow up with some more questions on that one too, because the other thing is DAS did not have any records this time, and so I always assume everyone's talking to each other, but I don't even know if they've seen that one. So I think we should hold off on that one as well.
Okay. So why don't we entertain a motion to approve the proposed changes minus those 2 items?
Before we do that one,
Is there
just
another
given
one?
our earlier conversation, do you want to look at the 4th one? Because it actually is germane to what we were discussing before. I do.
Yes, yes.
Maybe we should get some more information on that one too, because I'm not sure
Yeah.
what that record looks like.
Yeah.
So
Which one are we talking about?
Shift tray request form.
I've never seen one, so I'd probably like to look at what that form is and find out how those work before we.
Yeah. Any others? We're,
I think the rest are sufficiently
Okay.
vague that they don't impact us.
um,
So I don't know if we made the motion yet. So what I would like
why
to
don't
do
we
is
just make a
move
motion to, the first motion to remove those 1, 2, 3
yes,
items from this?
I would move to
Section 2, 3, and
I would move to remove the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th proposed change to the schedule so we can get more information.
Is there a second?
4. Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So we now have a records retention schedule minus 2, 3, and 4. And I'd entertain a motion to approve that with the understanding that Darren will follow up with the police department on the items that were removed.
Yes.
I move to approve as amended.
A second.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Member comments. We'll start with Michelle.
I don't have any.
Okay. Dean?
Nope.
Darren?
Nope.
Next meeting to be established sometime maybe before April, May would make sense?
Before summer starts.
Okay.
Is that agreeable?
That was great for me.
Okay.
Good.
The other
Sorry.
one,
Unless you want to meet earlier because of the changes.
Well, let's see what PD, if PD comes back and is like, time is of the essence here, then
yeah,
we could, but I don't think we'll.
They won't. The other nice thing about April, May is, in theory, we'll have an IT director then, and those schedules have never really been looked through very carefully. So I'd love to cross my fingers and hope that we might get at least some changes to that at that April, May meeting.
the other thing is I know I guess I don't know because it happens, which is okay with me, that we kind of have a scheduled destruction date, I think each year. Not sure when that is, but might be helpful that one or the other of the 2 meetings in the year occur in a time period in advance of that, that if there was something that could be gotten rid of, it could still get rid of with that construction period.
That's a good idea. That usually happens in June or July, sometimes August. So that April or May would be before that period. And we schedule that right now out of my office, so we can be flexible on that too.
So when is that scheduled, you said?
We usually do it in July or August, the shred
Okay,
day.
So we'll do this, our meeting in April, in advance of that, okay. All right, I don't have any comments, except everybody have a happy Thanksgiving, and meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.
This is our city. We can look at.
So I've not heard anything from Iron, well, I've heard, Ken sent me an email today.
He did.